Hello and welcome back. So today we're going to find out what healthy eating really means. We're going to use a picture called the Eatwell Guide to help us. This is in your booklet on page 10 and 11. So here's the Eatwell Guide. The guide helps us to understand how to balance what we eat. So having food that we enjoy and having food that's healthy, and it can be the same thing. You might have already talked about this at school. The guide doesn't mean that we have to eat all these foods at each meal or even each day. It's for most days. So that means if one day you fancy chocolate and have a bit more than the guide suggests, you can just eat less of it the next day. It's a balance day by day too, not just of foods. So the first section of the guide is the fruit and vegetable section. We want to aim for 5 portions of fruit and veg a day. If you're already having 5 a day, you can always have more. And if you're having less than this, a great goal would be to start increasing your intake by 1 a day. And if you really struggle eating fruit and veg, just keep trying every couple of months, as your taste buds can change as you get older. And a good goal then might be to start increasing the amount of fruit and veg you eat. It's really good to try and eat a variety of fruit and veg. We say to eat a rainbow of different colours, as they include different vitamins and minerals, and they contain fibre, which helps to fill us up and stop us being constipated. We can add them into our diet as a snack or add them to meals. So we include some vegetable soups, chopped tomatoes that we add to sauces, or hidden veg in things like curry in our veg count too. The guide puts some foods in a different section than we might think. For example, beans and chickpeas are put in the protein section, not in fruit and veg. We'll talk about putting food into different sections of the guide again later. So this section of the guide is carbohydrates. We talked about these in the last session, and they include foods that don't really taste sweet or salty, and they're usually brown or white, such as bread, pasta, rice, and whole grain cereals. Now potatoes go here too, not in the fruit and veg section, even though they're a vegetable. We put them here because they contain starchy carbs. Many of us eat a lot of carbohydrates, especially the white versions, which are a quick source of energy. Now, these can cause your blood sugar to rise quickly, which can send signals to your brain to say you're hungry. And that can lead you to eating more than you need. The brown and whole meal carbs contain higher fibre, which help to fill us up and take longer for us to digest. And so your blood sugar levels don't rise so much and you don't get the same hunger signals. The guide shows that we want to have about the same amount of these starchy carbs as fruit and veg. You might find that the balance doesn't quite look like this at the minute, and that's okay. A good place to start would be trying to swap some of the white carbs to brown whole grain versions. Another option would be to have a slightly smaller carb portion at meal times and to add a fruit or veg portion to help you feel full and to work also on your overall balance. Now this is the tiny red section, which is oils and spreads. It's very small as we only need a small amount of fat in our diet, as it's high in energy and can be very easy to eat too much of. It's good to try reducing the amount of butter, margarine, low-fat spread and oil when cooking. The energy in a portion of butter or margarine, like you'd spread thickly on a piece of toast, can be the same amount as in a small bar of chocolate. There can be a lot of fat hidden in packaged foods and drinks too, and this is something to be mindful of. We'll be looking at food labels soon, which can help with this. Here we've shown some small changes to reduce the amount of fat eaten. The first swap is using less butter in mashed potatoes and using milk to still make them creamy. Next is swapping normal spread like mayo or butter to light versions. There isn't much of a difference in taste, but they have a lot less fat. Using spray oils when cooking can help control the amount used. Also, not doubling up on these high-fat foods, like trying not to have butter and mayo on a sandwich, for example. Next, we're going to look at another small section called Dairy and Alternatives. This is a really important section, as getting enough dairy is essential for our bone and teeth health. They're important because they contain a mineral called calcium. Having 2 to 3 portions of dairy foods a day is a great way to get all the calcium you need. But calcium will only work if you have enough vitamin D. So the advice for people in the UK is to take a vitamin D supplement in winter, as we don't get enough vitamin D from the sun. You can pick these tablets up quite cheaply from the supermarket, and you can also get them in a spray if you don't like taking tablets. The Eatwell guide shows that milk, yogurt and cheese are all foods which contain dairy. It's good to choose low-fat types of these. You can see we've shown the green top milk, semi-skim milk here, which has less fat than the blue top, but still the same amount of calcium. That's the same for skimmed red top too. If you like cheese, try going for small portions of 30% or 50% less fat options. Cottage cheese, quark and reduced fat cream cheese too. Yogurts are a good option. Once again, try and go for low-fat types. Greek yogurt is a good option here. You can also have milk and other dairy food alternatives made from plants like soya, oat and almond. If you don't like dairy or don't think you'd be able to get the 2 to 3 portions a day, then talk to your key worker who can advise you on other ways to increase your calcium intake. The last section of the guide is the protein foods, like beans, fish, eggs and meat. So in the booklet, Sean and Tom both liked sausages and burgers, and it's fine to have these sometimes. Try opting for lean cuts when choosing red meats, like lean mincemeat and bacon. However, it's good to try and reduce processed meats and meats with coatings like chicken nuggets, and have more chicken breast or thighs or fish, so tin, tuna and mackerel and fish fingers count here. It's also good for your body and the environment to have a meat-free day most weeks. Meat-free proteins like soya, beans and lentils are a great source of protein as they're low in fat and high in fibre. Now there's a box outside the guide which is foods to eat less often. These tend to be foods that people really enjoy eating, like chocolate, crisps, ice cream, sweets, cakes, biscuits and fizzy drinks, because they tend to taste great. It's difficult to just eat a little of these foods, but they contain a lot of energy, fat, salt and sugar, so we don't want to eat too much of them. And the good news is that to eat well, we don't have to completely give up any of these foods. We want to get the right balance. So by eating these foods less often, but still enjoying them sometimes, and eating more fruit and veg, we get a good balance of foods. Try to opt for small portions of these foods where possible. We'll be going over portion sizes and snacks in the sessions. So we previously mentioned that even though foods will be classed in just one section on the Eatwell guide, most foods actually contain a combination of different nutrients. It can be a bit confusing, but we just look at what the food is mainly made up from to put it in the right section. Let's have a look at some foods now to demonstrate this. Pizza first. So the base would go in starchy carbs. The tomato and other veg toppings would go in the fruit and veg section. And the cheese would go in dairy. If you're going to have meat toppings like ham or pepperoni, these would go into the protein section. But overall, a pizza would be placed in the carb section. Chicken nuggets, well, the chicken is a source of protein, but it's coated in a batter, which would be a carb. But we put chicken nuggets in the protein section. So the Eatwell guide is really trying to show us that a healthy diet is about the balance of foods. We should aim to include foods from each section and get as close to the shown balance as possible. So let's look at what a balanced day can look like, including foods from each section of the guide. So breakfast could be a portion of whole grain cereal with milk and sliced banana, one from carbs, one from dairy, and a piece of fruit. As a snack, an apple and carrot, that's 2 more from the fruit and veg section, and a light cheese stick from the dairy. For lunch, beans from the protein on toast from carbs with a small amount of light spread from oils and spreads and a packet of crisps from the foods to eat less often. 2 custard cream biscuits from the foods to eat less often as an afternoon snack. And then for dinner, curry chicken from the protein section and brown rice from the carbs with broccoli from the fruit and veg. And finally, for pudding or supper, a low-fat yogurt for the final portion of dairy and strawberries to finish off the 5. Alrighty, so let's go on to drinks now. Let's think about our drinks. We want to have 6 to 8 every day, as this stops you getting thirsty and tired, and it helps you to concentrate. You can actually see if you're drinking enough by looking at the colour of your wee. It'll be darker in the morning, and then it should get lighter through the day if you're drinking enough. So the best drinks to have are water, milk, fruit juice, only 1 small glass a day though, sugar-free fizzy drinks, and sugar-free squash. And we can include teas and coffee, but decaf might be a better option here. Let's take a look at the background colours for the Eatwell guide now. Can you see that the background is green, orange or red? What does it mean? Well, the colours have different meanings. So red is for reduce. That's reduce the oils and spreads and foods to eat less often. So reduce high energy fat foods like oil, butter and mayo. Orange, it's for okay but balance. So that's starchy carbs and protein. So we want to try and eat beans, fish and chicken more often than sausage, bacon and burgers. And to have more high fibre breakfast cereals, brown bread, rice and pasta more often than the white types, and also reduced portions. And green is for go have more fruit and veg and dairy foods, and also have low fat milk and yogurt. So we might think that healthy eating can come at a price, so let's go through some tips now to try and keep the costs down. Choosing own brand foods and drinks are often cheaper than branded, and you probably can't tell much of a difference in taste. Lots of companies try and make more money claiming things are healthy, for example, protein yogurts or low-calorie wraps. But please don't feel pressured to buy these foods, as most of the time there's hardly any difference between the food they're comparing to. Buying frozen or tinned fruits and veg, they're still as nutritious as the fresh types, but they last a lot longer. So when choosing tinned fruit, go for the ones in juice and avoid the fruit in syrups. You can also get wonky fruit and veg. It's just as good as non-wonky ones. They just aren't perfect shape, so they're reduced in price. And you can get salmon, mackerel and sardines in tins and frozen. You can be a lot cheaper than buying fresh and are just as healthy. And you can even get them in sauces like tomato or peri-peri, but try to avoid the ones that are in oil. And most foods can be frozen. So if you've got a freezer, take advantage. If you see a good offer, and you can just put it in the freezer like a loaf of bread. And finally, using a food bank or similar food sharing places. There are a lot of them and a lot of people use them, and we've got information about the local ones. So please let your key worker know if you'd like more information on these. On to the top tips now. So frozen fruit and veg, like we said, are really handy and healthy, and you could use, for example, frozen berries with yogurt or on breakfast cereal. You can add a few small different types of vegetables to meals, and this way you can try different types. And finally, if you want to try brown rice or pasta, you could try just using a little bit of brown rice or pasta mixed with the white kind. And they do take longer to cook though, so you'll want to cook the brown ones a little bit before adding the white. Or you could try the brown microwave rice too. It's good and quick and easy to use, not too expensive. And here are Sian and Tom's goals from this session. They'll try to eat one extra portion of fruit or veg twice every week. They'll try and have a smaller bar of chocolate on a Monday and switch to a sugar-free drink instead of a sugary drink with tea every day. Remember, after the session, have a little think about a small goal you'd like to try. Make a note of it on your goal tracker sheet, ready to talk to your key worker next week. And let's just think what we talked about today then. So the Eatwell guide showed us what healthy eating really means, how to get the right balance of foods and drinks, not too much of one food and not too little of another. So just a few questions then. Sian asked, what's best to eat, white, brown or wholemeal? Well, wholemeal has a little more fibre than brown bread. Brown has got a bit more fibre than white. And fibre helps to fill you up and helps you to have a poo. So wholemeal is best, but think about having food you enjoy. So you could have some white if that's what you usually have and like, and then maybe try some brown too, or 50-50 bread. Then another step would be to try some wholemeal, and you actually might like the taste of them and want them. Tom asked, why do we want to eat less burgers and sausages and more chicken and fish? And also, does his fast food chicken and fish count? Well, this would help us to eat less fat and calories. That's why it's good to have a variety of food, different choices, so you can have a balance of these. Fast food chicken has normally been battered and fried, and that increases its fat and calorie content. And the fast food fish has bits added that increase the fat and the calories too. Remember that eating less processed food, food that's more natural, nothing added or taken away, is a healthy way to eat. Well, we've got a few feedback questions now. That's the end of the session. Please fill this out for us. There's a link on the screen. If you can click on that or scan the QR code. It's really important for us that you fill this form out because it allows us to see whether we can make the sessions better, just looking at your comments. Should only take about 2 minutes. It's totally anonymous. That means we don't know who writes what. So please, it'd be great if you could complete it. So thank you for that. And thank you for coming today. So next time we'll be talking about portions. Please have a read through the section on portions and make a note of any questions you have. And also have a go at setting your goal ready for your key worker call. That's all. And nice to speak with you. Bye for now.